When you think of courage, what animal do you think of? Do you think of a lion? Perhaps an eagle? How about a serpent? Because that is the animal we will be thinking about today on Let's Play Ultima 4. So the first thing I want to do here, which I alluded to previously but did not get to, is go to the moon gate outside of Moonglow, because we have previously been told by a wizard named Merlin that we can find the Black Stone of Virtue if we search that moon gate while both moons are dark. Which, because the Moonglow moon gate is the one that appears on the new moon, it's that one. Now, there are shoals all around Verity Isle here, and I want to go around the outside of those, because otherwise I'd get stuck along the coast and I'd have to go all the way back up to where the Lyceum is. So what I'm going to do is come to this bay right outside of Moonglow. You can see where I am on the minimap there. And I might as well fight this giant squid. I don't think I can avoid it. Oh, and a sea serpent. That's 2 for 1. Let me see. The giant squid, you see at the top there? It has 96 hit points, 9 experience points, and deals up to 14 damage. It can swim, obviously, and it has a ranged poisoned attack. So be cautious of that. Now, the sea serpent, of course, also swims. It also has a ranged attack, non-poisonous. It has 128 HP, gives you 9 experience points, and does up to 14 damage. So, because of my placement, I'm going to go after the squid first, if I can get a turn. Happily, I believe I can shoot over the side of my ship with my sling. I think squid are evil, so I can safely kill them while they're fleeing. It doesn't matter. Unfortunately, fighting on a boat is sometimes a challenge because things don't always line up well with the standing room on the boat, often. And we get no treasure for fighting on the water. Whatever. And very slowly, we get up into the bay here. I don't really want to fight that rogue. And I might have to anyway. Whatever. Okay, so I step into the moon gate when both moons are dark. That was timed perfectly. And because the right moon is also dark, I come straight back here, and then I just search that space, find the Black Stone. Done. So having gotten that out of the way, the next thing I want to do is sail all the way around the world, the short way, and head over to Scarabri. Because in all RPGs, if you sail all the way to the east, you end up on the west side of the world, just like real life. Also, if you sail all the way to the north, you end up on the south side of the world, unlike real life. Interesting note, by the way, to actually make a world map work like that, the world map would have to be on the surface of a torus, or a donut. That is the topology you would need to make such a map work. So I'm coming back here because we were previously told by someone, I don't recall who, that if we stay at the inn here, we will occasionally see a ghost. And if we talk to that ghost, we will get information about the White Stone. So let's see if we can make that happen. Sure. I believe that the ghost appears 1 in every 4 times you stay at the inn here. Something like that, if I recall. So I'm just gonna do it over and over until that actually happens. The 5 gold it costs isn't a big deal. If it takes forever, I'll just edit it out. Oh, there he is. Hello, ghostly figure. How are you doing? This is the ghost of Isaac, as we were told. And he's dead, obviously. And he haunts this inn. Yeah, I'm on some kind of quest. Yay, it's a hopeful ghost. Anyway, we came here to ask him about the white stone. And it sits atop the serpent spine and can reach by one who floats in the clouds. Well, we don't have the means of doing that yet. How hard could floating in the clouds possibly be? Come on, let me out of the inn now, please. Well, that's all I want to do there. Gonna save real quick. Now, at this point, to do the stuff I'm doing, you will need to have found a boat at some point. If you haven't yet found a boat, probably the best way to force one to spawn is to go to the island of Magencia for a while. There's so much water and so much land there that anything that spawns is likely to be an aquatic enemy, with a pretty good possibility of being a boat. The ideal, of course, is that you do it before you hit the 10,000 move count. That way, boats will be the only thing that spawn. Squids and sea serpents will not yet. Anyway, the next thing I want to do, speaking of Magencia, is we were previously told that if we come to these islands off Spiritwood, which is the forest you can see over there to the east, we'd be able to find the Silver Horn, which we need to access the Shrine of Humility. If I remember correctly, it's on this island here. If I'm wrong, I will look it up and find it. There it is. Yay! So that's where the Silverhorn is. I can actually show you now the location, KNCN. So, now that I have the Silverhorn, it's rather convenient for me to sail all the way back around the world to the secret location of the Isle of the Avatar, which is where the Shrine of Humility is. We've previously learned that it's in the southeast corner of the map here, and unmarked. We can see some shoals down there, which is where the island is. How exactly is it shaped? Am I going the right way? Let me check my map real quick. Okay, it's on the other side of this thing of mountains. Of course, the wind is always the direction I don't want. You can see on my mini-map there that there is nothing marked on the map where I am. Basically, there's a bay here. We can gradually get into. There we go. Come on. Of course, the wind will be going the other way when I try to leave. So, I'm Not entirely sure where you have to do this, but in fact, let me save, just in case. So you start walking. Eventually there's a spot where an orc spawns. No, what's actually important is that there is a spot where a demon spawns. I think it's probably right here, I guess. Let me try walking in and see what happens. Yep, there it is. For what it's worth, since this is my first time fighting one, demons are obviously pretty scary, relatively speaking. Although, just going by stats, they're not too bad. They have 112 HP. You get 8 experience for them. They deal up to 14 damage. They have ranged attack, they resist fire, and they fly. We'll see how relevant any of that is to this combat. There's that ranged attack. Not bad. But obviously you can see I'm gonna have to keep fighting the things here. Can I get a turn to move away, game? I'm just gonna reset. Alright, trying that again. What we want to do here, after I take out that orc again... I'm not sure if there's a way to get out of that endless battle lock once you get into it, but... What you do is, with the use command, I think, right? You type the name of the item you want to use, and that happens. And then there's a little red mark there indicating that it's active. Do pay attention to that mark, because if it expires, the demons will come back and you'll just get into that fight again. I believe that any spot in this area here will trigger the demon spawn if you don't have the horn active. Anyway, I'm gonna wander into the Shrine of Humility here. And as always, I will demonstrate all the cycle options with appropriate editing. Okay, here's the one cycle message. Yeah, that's pretty much how humility works. Thanks, game. Okay, restarting. So, doing the 2-cycle meditation now. I sure do wish my emulator had a fast-forward button on it. Meditation would be so much easier if you could fast-forward through it. Just like real life. Anyway, here is the 2-cycle message. Strive not to wield the great force of... Okay. I don't think that actually has anything specifically to do with humility, but whatever. Okay, gonna restart again and get the elevation. We are really, really humble! We are awesome! Hooray! And there is that vision again. This happens to be the rune for Y, for whatever that's worth. So now I'm gonna sit here for a bit and wait for my meditation counter to become active again. And that's gonna be a pain because I'll have to keep using the horn. Whatever. I will edit out and come back when I'm done with it. Okay. Based on my off-screen counter, I can see that I'm ready to meditate again, so I will take care of that. It did not take too long. For what it's worth, just standing in place did not seem to trigger any demons. I suspect they would probably spawn if you tried to take a step in that area. Anyway, doing this once more. Okay, what is our 3-cycle vision here? Oh, that's just how you would get the black stone if you didn't already know that. Okay. Well, let's blow the horn once more and get out of here. Whee! And of course, the wind's blowing from the west now that I want to go west. What are the reagents for wind change? My list isn't in arm's reach, I'll just let it change naturally. Was it ash and moss? Let's see if I can do that from memory. Wind, ash, moss. I remembered. I want them to be perpendicular to the direction I'm trying to sail, so north. Why not? I'm gonna sail due west until I'm due north of that, Did it change the minute I... Oh, hi, pirates. Nope. And now we have another boat. It's irrelevant which one I tried in. But you can get any number of boats by fighting pirates. Let's try that again. One thing people do when they have entirely too much time on their hands, I think, is gather boats until they have enough to build land bridges connecting particular important points on the land so that they don't have to sail everywhere. I think it takes way more time than it's worth, but whatever. The wind changed to the south as soon as I started trying to sail south, didn't it? And that's why I really don't bother with changing the wind all that much, because most of the time it just changes back to the direction you don't want it to be immediately anyway. I'm pretty sure it was programmed to be deliberately spiteful. If you look at the map closely, you'll see that the last castle I need to go to, the Serpent's Hold, is on this island at the far south here. There it is. Slowly. Alright, I'm walking the rest of the way. Avoid the trolls and cross as few bridges as possible. Okay, here we are. Serpents Hold. That's a great game. Named for the brave knight Serpents. Anyway. Here is a yucky-sounding beggar, but we have to be nice to him anyway, named Roderick, who has lost a hand and cannot work. Clearly, this is not a world with employment opportunities for disabled individuals. Although, typing one-handed on a computer is probably not that much easier than tilling a field or whatever one-handed. Sure. No, we're not interested in God. There are no gods in Britannia, just virtues. Why am I asking about gold at all? But we were told quite some time ago that a one-handed beggar is supposed to know something about orbs in the dungeons. So we can ask this person about that. And it's pretty much just like he describes there. When you go into dungeons, there are these glowy orbs. When you touch them, they'll raise one or more of your attributes, but at a cost which you pay in hit points, basically. I'll talk more about that when we actually get into a dungeon. So the Baron is out here guarding? What? I'm pretty sure this is a bug. But here is Sentry, the ruler of the province, standing out as a guard. I guess it's vaguely thematic for a castle of courage. more is there to your province? Just the ocean? Well, our goal is to ask the lords of the provinces about the word of courage, and there's his syllable, cor, as in courage, or heart, cœur in French. And I haven't been told that specifically. I can make a guess, but tell me about it anyway. So he tells us straight out that those cities are the ones associated with courage. In other words, those whose associated virtues touch on courage in some way, valor, sacrifice, honor, and spirituality. So those are the virtues that affect courage in some way. Good to know. And this guard is also Baron Sentry. We don't need to talk to him again. I do not know if any other version of the game has that bug where the guards are sentry instead of just sentries. Or it could be just a really terrible bug. Here's a beautiful paladin with an exclamation mark, named Michelle, who looks just like every other paladin. Does she have something she's actually supposed to say about health? No, if you ask her about health, she's supposed to say that she's very well, but in her script... Okay, I think what she's supposed to say is she'll ask, "Are you well?" and if you say no, she'll direct you to the healer or something. And that's why she says that about the healer. In fact... No, I already typed the full word. Whatever. Well, if you followed the script properly, you said you were in good health, she'd ask you if you're looking at the Lord of the Castle, and you ask about him, and she says, "Take the West Passage." Whatever. She's Bug, too. They should call it Bug Castle instead of Serpent Castle. Anyway, let's go this way first. So here's a buxom guard named Lori. No one in particular, no. We're just kind of wandering around randomly. If you asked her the name of a couple of NPCs in the area, she'd tell you where they are, roughly, but we don't know who we're looking for yet, so... here's a guy named Durham, a fighter, who quests for glory, which is not a game I know anything about, so I have no references. Sure. I think we're eventually told to ask Durham about something else. I don't recall exactly what. It's nothing too important, but we will learn something else to ask him about, another keyword. Here's a handsome guard named Samuel, who I think is exactly the same as Lori on the other side. If you know who you're looking for, he directs you to one side or the other, but we don't. Here's a bold fighter named Garam. Garam? Garabasala? No, that's something else. He's in good health, and he fights with courage. What does he say if we say no? He just tells you to train. I'm not sure that's exactly how it works, but whatever. Sure, we fight with courage. Because we're trying to be valorous. Is that his whole script, or... Oh, he has something important we need to ask him about, so we will be back in a bit for that. I don't know why there's a random bush in the middle of the corridor. There's nothing there. Let me actually get my map up so I can keep track of where I'm going. As someone alluded to earlier, this is where the healer is. We don't need the healer right now. Here's a seasoned fighter, possibly seasoned with garam masala. Or maybe not. His name is Rourke, and his job, presumably, is architect. Or maybe that's something else. Yeah, I'm pretty well. Sure, I'll do my best. And his job is that he's a fighter, not an architect. Whatever. Oh, what else does he say? Okay, he reminds you that the Stygian Abyss is where the Codex is, but we already knew that. And if you ask him about the Codex, he knows nothing. You know nothing, Howard Rourke. You never heard those references combined before. Sail-er. That's a great game. Apparently Lord British is not a copy editor. The guy's name is Lassorn, and he survived a shipwreck. And he's a sailor, sensible enough. Apparently he doesn't care if you spell it properly. On the HMS Cape. I do not recall if we've heard about the Cape by now or not. Seems like someone may have said something about it, but I don't recall precisely what was said. But it's irrelevant either way, he says the same thing. But we'll be back to get some more details about that later. Meanwhile, over here, we find an academy, where the training master is Shira? No, that's something else. Optimus Prime? No, that's also something else. I know nothing about either of those. Sure. Bravo! I think she has another keyword, but I don't think we know about it yet. So that's all we can get from her for now. Here's a ranger training with no name. I'm sure we'll have to eventually. So, yeah, we learned that the teacher knows about the altar rooms. That other person is just the same ranger script, so don't worry about that. So, tell me about these altar rooms. And we get a list of the stones that we should use in the altar rooms of courage to get the part of the three-part key. So those colors happen to be associated with courage in some way, which probably have something to do with the towns and virtues associated with courage. Hello, guard. Baronial guard. Who guards the Lord. Sure. We built this castle on courage. No, that doesn't quite work, never mind. That's all they say. Those are both the same guard, so don't worry about that. And Sentry himself we already talked to outside through the bugged guard. By the way, if you actually talked to those guards properly in a less buggy version of the game, they would have a cute exchange where they'd say, "Art thou here to find courage?" And if you say no, they'd say, "Then perhaps to become a guard," implying that they see themselves as guards as not being very courageous, but whatever. That doesn't happen in this version. And there are secret passages to the left and right, so let's check on those. I believe all that's over here is the treasure room, guarded by burly guards. I can't even get to it without fighting through you, so I won't bother. Then I think... yeah, up here there's another secret door. Yes. Oops. Okay, let's try that again. You can't go around the top of that pool, but I do want to come talk to this Nixie here, named Noxum. And he's very wet. Whatever. Yes. And a survivor would know where to search. And yes, we heard about that just a moment ago. And the HMS Cape apparently had a magical wheel, implying that we should go back and ask Lassorn, the survivor, about that wheel. Now we know. I'm a survivor, I'm not gonna give up. No, never mind. So those treasure guards have the same script as the others, don't worry about them. So here's a druid, Sister Antos. And she has important information. Well, we've been told to ask people named Antos about the book, the bell, and the candle. Not necessarily in that order. And she obviously knows about the only one we don't have yet. So that's what we know to ask her about. The bell is the one of those that we don't yet have. So we don't have it yet. And Garum the fighter knows something about it. So, let's go do that. Also, I'm reviewing my script here, and apparently these treasure guards, you are able to ask them about dungeons, and they tell you that. I'm honestly not sure how you're supposed to know that. There's nothing in their script that alludes to asking them about dungeons, and I don't see anyone else in the script for this area that refers to it. So, I don't know. I guess it is what it is. It's certainly nothing critical, so I'm not terribly concerned about it. Okay, I wanted to go back to the healer and talk to Lassorn. You, the sailor, about the wheel. And we learn that the shipwreck of the HMS Cape is in the Bay of Heroes. We'll look at that in a bit, probably in the next episode. For now, let's just finish harvesting information from this castle. Garum, we were told, knows something about the Bell of Courage. And he tells us that it's at that location, Nala. Again, I will go track that down in the next episode, not right now. Obviously, you would need a ship to get there, but you need a ship to get here too, so... You could probably make your way out to this island with blink spells if you really tried, but... They do design it well so that Serpent's Castle is where you learn about things that require a ship to get to. So this is the other guy, Durham, and we were told to ask him about dungeons, and he tells us that we get a key in the altar room. We already knew that. So I'm not really sure what the point of that thread of dialogue actually is, but whatever. And I believe that is everything we can learn at Serpent's Hold here. So, where do we find those items that are buried at sea? We'll have to find out next time. Thank you for watching, and good night.